my time. I'll just say. Just a minute just to get the timer ready so I don't overshoot my time. So that next time they won't say, I know, we're not having that woman that just kept us there forever. Okay. Welcome everybody, welcome. I know all of us are here, or most of us are here because we are personally affected by, or I'll say infected by autism. I'll explain myself later. And I'm sure all of us feel at one time, or have been made to feel at one time or the other, that we have PPS. And you might wonder, what is PPS? It's poor parenting skill. When you have a child with autism, if you don't feel that way, the world will make you feel like you have poor parenting skill. And basically that's stigmatization. And what is stigmatization? I went and checked. It just says that stigma is defined as a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance. It's a mark of disgrace, you know? And what it makes, effectively, what it does is to make people feel inferior, shamed, or isolated. And it will have been, it's bad enough to be stigmatized, but a lot of time, we ourselves now self-stigmatize. That's we believe and accept the stigma that others have placed on us. And unfortunately, it leads, sometimes it leads to mental illnesses, you know, it leads to us concealing. We cover, we feel like we have to stay in the closet because, you know, we bear shame. There's a mark of disgrace on us. So we stay in the wardrobe. We don't want to come out. And then sometimes it makes people feel like, why even try? You know, that's why you see in Africa, there are some children that belong to some family that you've never seen because they just hide them. In 2015, a study was carried out in Israel, and I use this because a large amount of people, a large population was used. They interviewed 502 families affected by autism, and 40% said they keep away from everybody. 32% felt they were isolated, that people excluded them. And I'm sure we'll relate to it. And today, I'm going to talk about stigma in 3 parts. I've just done the introduction, stigma and what it depicts. Then I'm going to talk about the impact of stigma on people who are stigmatized. Then the final thing is what can be done. So, like I was saying, many people in Israel, those people, they just kept away from others. And I know that many of us, we keep away, you know. Sometimes people, because they are not well aware of what it is, they almost feel like it's contagious. So like, I'm just gonna keep away from everybody. And I just did a bit about how our culture, especially the Black, the African, and I also noticed the Asian culture kind of impact on this issue of stigma. And I realized that because we have a connective culture, a collective culture, we see still autism is seen like a taboo. Like if your child has autism, they make you feel like you're cursed. Maybe you've done something wrong. Maybe the gods are against you. Maybe it's a family cause some people don't like you. I've heard people say, in my own family, we don't have it, telling the wife, go and look for where you got it from, you know. And then even, I now realize that unfortunately in the religious community, it's worse. And I remember one time, BBC did a documentary about people who had disabilities. And one thing, that many of them were religious people, and in this case, they were Christians. And what they said really impacted me. They said, you are prepared to have a miracle. You know, you go on the healing line, but nobody prepares you for when the miracle doesn't take place. And I remember listening to one man, he has PhD in law. His name is Ife Akintunde, and he was talking and he was saying when he was studying law, the Christian community made him feel like he didn't know God because they felt if he had faith, he would have been healed. And he thought to himself, if I don't have faith, then I don't know God, because God, the language of God is faith. So it's challenging enough that he has a challenge. Then it's more challenging that is blamed, just like the man that was born blind in the time of Jesus. Like, who sinned? Was it him or his parents? And I'm wondering, when would they have sinned? He was born blind. Was it in the womb? And many of us too, when you have a child who has been diagnosed with autism, we know it's a diagnosis. We know it's a condition. But because people make us to bear this mark of disgrace, people feel like we have PPS, like poor parenting skills, then we begin to question our own faith. I remember somebody came to ask me, she also has children with autism. We were like, she's been told that it's demonic, is satanic. And I said, yes, I've heard that. I've even heard pastors say it. I said, but you know, in the time of Jesus, there were people who were sick. And you know, I'm just going through the Old Testament, and I was sharing this with two of my friends. I said, you know, there's something that struck me in the Old Testament. When Moses was talking to the children of Israel, I've always just seen it like it was Moses talking, but it was saying to the people what God had told him. And God told him that, you know, some people with skin diseases, even though they are of the priestly lineage, cannot serve as priests. And these were people who were not yet born. And God is saying there will be some with skin diseases, there will be some that are handicapped, they cannot come in. And I'm thinking, God is saying this, God is going to make these people, and some of these people are going to be having challenges. And that kind of made me reflect on how can we judge people for something they have absolutely no control over. And like one of my friends was saying, he said, this is God's world. It is not our world. If it's our world, we can define it how we like. And you know, another impact of autism and this stigma is that when you go out as a parent, you are managing your child's behavior, the unpredictability of it. You don't know, sometimes they might be in a place, they might be okay. Next time, they might not be. You are dealing with that in your mind. You are just preparing your mind for all the things that can happen, all the possible scenarios. And then you are also managing the responses of other people, the stare, the comments. And you know, in our own culture, people will not meet you to tell you that, you know what, you have PPS. If you are skilled with this, your child, it won't be this way. I'll give you an example. When my son was younger, we went to church, and the church had different rooms. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't find my son. So everybody were all running up and down. Finally, we realized it was just in one of the rooms. So of course, like I noted in the book, I thanked everybody. And one woman just said, no, I didn't help you look for him because if you were farmer with your child, that won't happen. And, you know, I just went quiet. Because for me, how do you respond to that? And that's why I think many of us self-stigmatize. Yes, your child was with you, but you see, this child, they have their own music that they dance to. But the world judges you for not being in tune with the music you cannot hear. How can you be in step with, you know, when you are dancing, at least you hear the music. They hear their own music, you don't hear it. And the word make you feel bad. And some people will say, you have to pray, like you are not praying. Like you are not doing anything. But you know, the worst part of stigma is that the child most time is kept away from the public because as a parent, you think twice before you take them out. So the child is deprived from having the opportunity to learn. Because how do we learn these social skills? You know, it's by exposure. The parents are traumatized and the public remain unaware. I mean, I've heard people recently, you know, before it used to be Rain Man. Recently, people were just saying, you know, have you watched The Good Doctor? The Good Doctor. I kept hearing it so many times. I said, okay, let me watch it. And when I watched part of the series, I told one of my friends, I said, you know, they are using a tiny part, to define a whole. I said, when Scott was saying that autism is a word that is trying to tell a million story, he knew what he was saying, and yet we are judged. And like I said, it's bad enough when other people judge us, but then we judge ourselves. But then what is the impact of this? Because like I said, at the end of the day, you keep your child away from the world. And maybe some Caucasian, what they do is they wear the t-shirt, they have a badge to say, oh, my child is not naughty, it just has autism and all that. But you know, in our own culture, we are not, we have, they say the British, they have steep upper lip. We have steeper upper lip. We conceal it. And then, even because sometimes family members, they are not being mean, but because they don't understand. When you say, for example, people say, oh, you are trying, like, you wonder, what else do you do in this situation? Or they might say, oh, you know, it's okay. They're just ways where people can rationalize your pain. I was telling Funke, who is Oak on this here, I said, you know, there are some times when I need to rant, as in, I need to just pour out my heart. I come from a closely knitted family, right? But there are times when I'd rather call her Funke or call somebody else who has a child like mine, who gets it, you know, no rationalizing, no this, just like they get what I'm saying. And that we all need that. And that's why we go to the impact of this stigma. We've talked about stigmatization, how it works, how, people don't understand you, and then they call you name and you call yourself that name. And then you start choosing where you go, where you don't go. And recently I read something and it made me think, oh, how different my life would have been if I was not in this situation. Because your social network just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And before you go anywhere, the amount of calculation you are doing in your head, not just of what the child will do, who will be there, what will happen, is just enormous. And then because we are always demonstrating this emotional intelligence, people don't know the amount of emotional stress that parents, the pressure that parents are dealing with. So what are the impact of this? Because we are stigmatized and we self-stigmatize, there's a tendency to experience depression. There's a tendency, in fact, research shows that parents bringing up, especially mothers bringing up children on the spectrum, are among the highest people, among the people most susceptible to mental disorders. And the world watches on. We feel misunderstood, we feel guilty, we feel sad. There's this sense of hopelessness and helplessness. Like I described it, is cynical. It's not a grieving thing that just happened once and you just go, that's it. The grieving cycle is ongoing. Sometimes you just, you think you're okay, and then maybe you see a child that is your child's age mate and what they can do. And then you start grieving all over again. You just keep thinking, what would have been? And then you also think, what will be? This child, if I'm not there, what will happen? What will happen? What is their future? So we are always, as people are just thinking about one thing, you are always thinking like 20 steps ahead of time. And so that's pressure on the brain, isn't it? Because they said there's a Harvard article that talks about, it's about mindfulness, and it was talking about a wandering mind being an unhappy mind. And you will testify with me that it takes a lot if you have a child on the spectrum for your mind not to be a wandering mind. And another saying from that article was talking about the fact to be able to think about what is not happening right now is a cognitive achievement, but is at an emotional cost. Because we are always having to think when you go out, how people will receive you, when your child goes to school, especially some that, because maybe they are non-verbal, they are trying to express their needs, and it might come out as challenging behavior. You are just thinking, oh, what is the school going to say against now? I remember when my daughter was in reception before we had to move her. Oh my God. I mean, there was a day I literally, my spirit was literally leaving my body because I was just so stressed, And that's what we feel. We feel lonely, we feel anxious. And what is the impact? This is likely to impact our executive functioning. It's likely to reduce our patience, and it induces forgetfulness, which makes it difficult. Day-to-day living can just be a chore. Many times you don't have enough sleep because maybe the child is not sleeping, you don't get enough sleep. Other time you are up researching, just thinking, oh, I don't want to miss the best window of opportunity to take care of my child. You know? So there's a lot of pressure. But what can we do? Is it all doom and gloom? Because one thing I know is that taking care of a child with autism, you need to be physically, emotionally, and mentally strong. And you need time. So we see the impact of autism is trying to take life away. It's trying to break us. And yet to take care of these children, we have to stay whole. So it's important to be able to take care of these children, to take care of us, you know, because yeah, we feel like, oh, everything, my child, my child. But for a parent to have a child on the spectrum, self-care is essential love for the child. So, and we have to remember what they say in the plane. Before you put the oxygen mask in time of emergency on your child, you have to do it first to yourself. Because a person who is gasping for air is useless to everybody. And one thing that helped, I think for me, one of the things that have helped me the most, that for me was a turning point, was the day I realized, you know what? None of us are producers. We are all receivers. We all got what we were given. Children don't come from us, they come through us. So it's not in anybody's place to look at me and feel like they made a better child. No. They got what they were given. We got what we were given to. And that changed my mentality. Before, you know, I used to take them to the library when some things started happening. No, I won't want to go out. I won't. But I was like, how will my children develop the necessary skills? But the day I just realized, you know what? None of us are producers. Nobody is in the position to judge me and make me feel like I'm less. Because our children are not even less, they are different. So I realized we also need to make out time to sleep. You know, we are up and about, just worrying, carrying a lot of emotional burden. And like I said, our culture, because of the fact that it's bad enough that the whole world, what we don't know, we stigmatize. Then we are made to feel in our Christian community like it's lack of faith. And then in our culture, like, is it a cause? Is it an attack? So there's a lot of pressure on us. But we need to learn to also do something fun every day. When I was preparing this, I said, you know, this is also a reminder for me of these truths. Do something fun. We shouldn't be guilty. We shouldn't feel guilty to just, sometimes, even if it's just 5 minutes, to enjoy, to laugh. Take time to pray. We are Christian. For me, I don't even know what I would have done if I didn't have God. Just going back to that word, like I said, going back to his word and just realizing, you know what? God was the one talking about the fact that some people, we have issues. Some people, just go through the book of Exodus and Leviticus. And when Jesus was saying, calling the lame, calling the blind, is an acknowledgement that in this world, there are issues. Jesus was saying that in the time of Elijah, were there no leper in Israel? There was a layman that got healed. So those are the things, but we need that investment of time in our own prayer life helps us to stay grounded. Because there are times when I'm just like, God, I don't even know what to say because this person is doing my head in. And if I even scream, it will not be enough to just
It's 12 hours.
Say how I feel. But you know what? God gets us. We need to invest in a hobby. Like when I wrote my book, when I was young, I used to write a lot. I was always writing. I write poem, I write this, I write. But after everything, I just stopped writing. I stopped because to write, you have to have a bit of headspace. And I felt I didn't even have that time. But and that's why it will tie to the next thing I'm going to say about having support group. There were people who just wouldn't let me be like, you've always been writing. Why don't you document some of these things? And honestly, it was just meant to be a short article about when he was able to sit for a SAT. That's my son, like he didn't talk on time. He was out of school for 2 years. And at the end of the day, he was able to do his SAT. And for me, it was like, this is amazing grace. And that was how it started. But for me, it was also a healing process, just looking at how far we have come, So having a hobby, sometimes even if you like to decorate the house, like Funke will always say, she's always big on invest in yourself. And it's true. Investing in ourselves is investing in our children. And when Teresa, when we have meeting and we are talking and she says some of the things, and it just brings hope. And the next thing is we need support group. We need people we can talk to. We need people who inspire us. I remember when recently we had this group, and one of the child with autism is over 18 now. He's now in West Ham. He's now playing for West Ham. And that gave me hope, like, okay, the same God is doing it for this person is going to make our children to excel. So have support group. Then do some form of exercise, even if it's walking, whatever you want to do. Because like I said, we need to be physically, emotionally, and mentally strong for as long as possible. Then practice being grateful. Yes, we might not be where we wish. I like that poem, Welcome to Holland. Yeah, we might not be in Italy, but there are good things too about Holland. We might not be where we think we should be, but there are things happening where we are. And just being grateful, just sometimes forcing our mind. There are days when I tell myself today, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm just going to just thank God. Because if not, you just find out that you are always ranting, and learn to laugh. Sometimes laugh at yourself, that we can lose that sense, isn't it? We are always very serious. We're always like researching. Learn to laugh. Sometimes we might need to go for counseling. We might need to do that. In our own culture, it's like, am I mad? Why do I need to go for counseling for what? What challenge do I have? But sometimes it just helps you to process your own thoughts, Just having that space to process your own thoughts is healing for you. And like I said, whatever can help us to stay strong is also an investment in that child. And then go for medical checkup. There's a sense of when things like this happen, we just put ourselves in the back burner and just keep going. But notice your own emotion. Notice, sometimes I tell myself to slow down. Why am I feeling this way? Why? And there's a research that says when we name our emotion, it actually triggers the thinking part of our brain. It's not the emotional part. So when you are able to say, I'm feeling sad, the part of your brain that gets triggered is actually the thinking part of, okay, why are you sad? And then you can walk through it. I'm feeling anxious. Why am I anxious? It might be, oh, I don't know what the future holds. And that might also help us to start thinking of what we can put in place. As again, just carrying these emotions and we don't want to talk about it, you know, what can other people do? Because in this thing, it's not just about us. There are times when with our child, we are okay. Yeah, we wish things were a bit different, but we are okay. But then, like someone described it, the micro behaviors of others that just triggers us, you know, like, why is it not sitting down? Sit down. Or no, there's a way somebody looks at your child, doesn't say anything, but you know they've said a billion things. And you as a parent, you can feel it. So the thing is that when we don't know about something, the likelihood of stigmatizing it is high. We tend to label things to help us to undo it. So we might say that is a naughty child. So we can easily put that child in a box. But there's a need for awareness. And even in our churches, we need to keep talking about this. Is it when a child is different, is it always because the parent have sinned, or is it, oh, this child is the way they are? Is it because they have no faith? Let's talk about these things, you know, because in people's mind, because they feel, for you to be like this, there must be something you have done. But when we start bringing it to front and talking about it, some of this stigma, it takes away the edge. So for us as African, we need to do more. And I know that even the, just hold on, even the, even the Asians, a lot of them too are like that. So we need to start thinking of how we can start having this conversation. We have to move it away from just awareness to understanding. That's why I said, gave an example of people who just say, oh, the good doctor, as if that's now, you know, that typifies the whole. No. And then finally, I want us to believe in these children, you know, believe in them. And a lot of time, I remember I read a book that really challenged me. And it was saying in that book that his child couldn't really play, I think it was American football or one of these games. And so when it took him to that game, even though it was taking him, he didn't expect him to do well. So it was always like, oh, careful, this. And he had to challenge himself. And then I started thinking, what do I think? I stop myself from time to time. I might be saying all the Christianese, but do I really believe in it? Do I believe that these children, despite the fact that they are different, do I believe there's a place for them? You know, recently there's this girl with Down syndrome. She's been doing a number of adverts. So she's found her own niche. You know, there's Stephen Wilshire that they talk about as human camera. He has his own gallery. He still needs support, but in his own field is outstanding. And many of these children with autism, some of them, they just, no word is too big for them to pronounce. Some of them, when it comes to mental math, they are out of this world. Some of them are visual thinkers. Some of them, their memory, the kind of things they'll remember, you'll be like, you notice that? They didn't only notice it, they know all the details. Some of them, if you ask them the day of the week, a date fall on, they'll tell you. And some of them are just very loyal. You know, they are just loyal to whatever they believe in. they pay at some of them, they might just seem like they have ants in their pants. But when it comes to things that they like, they can hyper focus to an extent. You'll be like, is it this child running about that just sitting down? So notice those things. And many times, those talents, they are there. Sometimes they are hidden because they have a number of issues. Another time, we can see, but we are told to just focus on making them normal, in quotes, that we disregard those things because we just want them to just be normal. But you know what? Every one of us, we have been fearfully and wonderfully made. That's why I'm going to end it. Psalm 139 verse 14 says, I bless you because I've been fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, O Lord, and that my soul knows. Each one of us, we are on a journey, but every point of our journey, including our children, the word is they are fearfully and wonderfully made. They are marvelous because the Bible says that all the works of God are marvelous, and that my soul knows. Because we are work of God, we are marvelous. We have been fearfully and wonderfully made. And even though we are walking through stigma, believing that as there's more and more understanding, things will change. But as of today, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were given these children, we don't need to self-stigmatize. And those children too, they are fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's our soul must always remember, so that we will not break under the weight of stigma, under feeling isolated, stigmatized, and inferior, feeling like the other. Have you ever gone to a function, you feel like the other, the mother of the other, so you two are the other, you know? But just to remember, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And this journey, we are not alone because God is working with us. Thank you.
My gosh, thank you so much. I feel like clapping for you. Like, thank you so much, Adesola. Wow, that is really great. I'm still trying to like put in all the information. Wow. This is so practical, and I would say thank you for letting us know that out of the lot you've said, that number one, we shouldn't be the others. We shouldn't let the society, the community define who we are or who our children are. We should be able to work the way God has appointed us to. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We're not producers. Let us remember that. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Even as you're blessing so many of us, I believe this is just the beginning of all the places God is taking you. Thank you so much. And I know that there are so many of us as well on this platform that do not have children with needs or autism. But I'm sure one or two of us, we have either a family friend or a family member or a church member that's actually in this journey. Let's start thinking, how am I going to be a support system for this person? Am I going to be positively supportive, or I'm going to be judgmental? And for those of us here as well that are in this journey, let's remember, we're not alone. God is working with us. We shouldn't feel judged and we shouldn't be judged. So it's time for question and answers. Please let us indicate if we have any question. Thank you.
Ada, AD.
Hello.
I've got a question.
Okay.
In my case is rather, perhaps it's a bit special because my daughter is an adult and she's only been diagnosed with autism only a couple of years ago. And NHS said that there is no cure, no support, nothing. But my daughter has gone through a lot since she was a child. She went through eating disorder, OCD, depression, all sorts of different mental illness. So as a parent, since she's living apart from me, how do I give support to her as in a midst that there is no medication, nothing that the NHS or medical help that could.
It's 12:15.
Yeah. So can you tell me as a parent how I could support her from remotely?
Yeah. I think it might just be good to find out. I know that there are groups for older people. I mean, Teresa, I know your story, and it's heartbreaking what she's had to go through. And that's why I said there's room for to be grateful in the sense that people who were now diagnosed when they were young, they will have had to deal with all this trauma before they finally found out that, oh, this is why they are different, you know. But having said that, there are groups for older people. And I think that's where we have to start. When we find out the group, to encourage her to join, you know, their support system. I have a friend, but she is a psychiatrist for younger people. I can talk to her and find out if, you know, because she's in Tunbridge Wells, so not too far from you, and find out if she knows like people who support the older ones, and then take it from there. Because as like you rightly said, she's an adult now, so there's a limit to how much you can impose. One can just nudge her towards some direction that will help her, you know, and then continue to do your own research. And from time to time, your own research should form the kind of conversation you're having with her. You will have a better idea of the way her brain is wired, the kind of thoughts she's having, and the kind of things you can be saying to her to help her to deal with those things. Like, since a lot of them, because of the societal conditioning, there's a tendency for them to experience depression. So how are we speaking to them, or speaking to her in a way to make her realize, you know what, that is not you. That is what the society is saying. And then your journey doesn't have to be the way you have said it. And just helping her through her journey. And like I said, at this age, we have moved to the level of being a consultant, you know, from caregiver to counselor to now consultant as they go older. So just chipping it in from time to time and doing your own research.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. That's great. Teresa, I just to add to what Ade just said, I'm sure, because I'm based in Aberdeen, Scotland. I'm sure in England or in UK or Northern Ireland, well, I'm sure there are some groups that support adults. We've got that here as well. So from age 16 till any, like, yeah, all adults. So if you can do 1 or 2 research, I'm sure you'll be able to refer her if you get that information, and that will be of help as well. So any other question, please? I know people have been asking for how they can get support into a support group. Wherever we're based, like I said, in Aberdeen, we've got some support groups everywhere. And since we started Serenity 2 years ago, we know that we've got some families that we do one-to-one virtual support for. Sometimes the parents meet if they want to. And then now we've got a permanent premise where parents are being supported with relaxation therapy to enhance mental health, and a discussion cafe as well, just for them to share ideas. As time goes on, we can now make that virtual for people that are not around in Aberdeen. So that's a way of joining. But wherever you are, I'm sure there is a support group for you to join. Thank you. I'm trying to look if there's any question in here, but I don't think there is coming in.
I have a question, please.
Okay, please go ahead. Sorry about that.
No worries. Morning, everybody. I invited a couple of my friends. I don't have a child with autism, but I have a lot of people, you know, a few of my friends that have special needs children. Unfortunately, I don't think any of them have been able to make it for this meeting today. Is there a way to get the recording?
Yes, sure. Yes, I can send the recording out. Kindly indicate in the chat if you'd like to have a copy of the recording. Thank you. At this point, I don't think there's much question. I can't see anybody indicating. But thank you one more time, Adesela, for the time taken. I think is a lot actually to take in. So I think most people will have to like listen again to the recording, and I'm sure that when they have any questions, I can send them to you via email. I'll contact you so that we can both discuss it and get back to them. If you're happy with that, please let me know.
That's fine.
Yeah, so.
Well, somebody is raising it.
Okay, please go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My son, I had to go and attend to my son. That was why I didn't raise my hand initially. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Zade, for that wonderful session. I'll just like to ask that, like, I have a son with special need as my first, and the younger ones tend to like copy what he does. And sometimes people try to tell you, oh, are you sure this one too is not like the first one and all that? But now I'm trying to find a way of how do I get the message to the younger ones, like what your brother is doing is not what you should be doing or something like that? Or should I just leave them and then they figure it out on their own or something?
Okay, I'll say it's two ways. It might just be that they are copying, and in that case, you just have to keep reinforcing the good behavior, the behavior you want to see. You keep modeling it, and when they do what is not supposed to be, you just keep showing them the right thing to do. But I don't want to burst your bubble. You might also need to just have the younger one checked out for your own peace of mind.
No, they've been checked out actually.
And so if they've been checked out, it's a matter of time they will outgrow it. Children will copy themselves. Just keep modeling the behavior you want to see, and just keep like encouraging them to do to display the right behavior. But they live in the same house, they will see these things. When they are older, they'll find their own way in the world, let's put it that way, and they're a bit older. So that's all you can do. You can't force them, because they are seeing where they want, for them, they are young, they don't understand now the difference between a neurodiverse person and a neurotypical person. This person is their sibling. If he does it, then they think it's okay. So just keep reinforcing it. But I don't think you should over worry about it. They will outgrow it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I've got a question as well. Based on one of the moms that we support has asked that question before. How can she recognize the strengths and the area that she can support that our child? Because we're talking about like a 10-year-old here, but is interested in everything, like he wants to do everything. So, but she's trying to narrow it down to what he likes best. So how can she do this? What steps can she take?
She just keep observing, even like with a neurotypical child. There are some children who want to try everything, and we can't put them in a box just because we think they are neurodiverse. If you have a neurotypical child that wants to do everything, you are not going to force them. You just make observation, and if you think, and based on your observation, if you think, oh, this person's strength is just is this way, then you gently nudge them in that direction. Do you understand? Just giving them more and more opportunity for those things. But you have to be observant. It's not, but like I said, they are human beings. They are human beings with having a different experience, So the same thing we'll do with a neurotypical child. Observe, 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 and give opportunities for them to continue to explore themselves. I mean, even us, we are still exploring, we are still discovering ourselves, So at 10-year-old, you have a lifetime.
Thank you for responding to that. On this, I will assume we don't have any further question. So I would like to say thank you for joining us again. I can't believe it. I can see so many people, my wonderful people here, and thank you. I know you've all taken time out to support me, support the charity, and to support all the families. We appreciate you, and we say, oh, Teresa, do you still have questions?
No.
Okay. So we just appreciate you, and we say, please continue to support us. And this is just the first webinar of the year. There's still a lot of things going on by His grace this year, a lot of wonderful things. Information will be going out as soon as we know when we'll be having all those activities to support ourselves, because Adesola spoke about self-care, so it's important we look after ourselves. So there's so many information coming out. And like I said before in the intro when we started, while I was introducing Adesola, there's this book, Sailing on a Rainbow. I've read it. And I'm sure a few of us as well has read it on this forum, because I know one or two people that have read it. Please, if you don't have this book, I am pleading, go and get it. It's not just for parents that are looking after children with additional needs. No, it's for everyone. She so much broke down. Her simplicity, like I said before, was what attracted me to the book. And the information I never knew before were there. And the experiences I can relate with, just like you're going out, how to help your child, there's child social strength, you see. How can your child be sociable? How can your family member or a friend feel so comfortable around you? Everything. She did her research. She did all her research. And I'm so happy that I've read something about that going to Holland. And I'm so happy that you put that in this book as well. Kindly get this book on Amazon or contact me for more information on how to get it. Thank you so much, Adesola, one more time. Thank you, everyone. At this point, we're going to say, yes, we've come to the end of this webinar. Do have a great, great day. Oh, Lara said yes. So someone is suggesting, Lara said you can actually buy it as the book as a gift to a family or a friend. Thank you. God bless you. Do have a wonderful afternoon, morning for those that joined from the US. And I pray God will continue with us in this journey. We won't be stressed. We won't suffer mental health. We'll try and look after ourselves as much as we can. And God bless us.
Amen. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ade. Thank you, Ade Ronke. God bless
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, okay.
It's 12:30.
Yes, I know. Okay. All right. I'll call you later. I think some of the moms are phoning me now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. We speak on phone.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon. Yes. Bye.